I'm having a little complications with my significant other regarding child custody
Mm-hmm.
and co-parenting.
This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. And I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, shrinestore.com. If you want to be a rock star, you got to dress like a rock star. Check them out at shrinestore.com. All right, Georgette, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Davis.
Okay, we're going to take our next caller, and it's from California, and I guess the name is pronounced Nienzine. Nienzine, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, it's Nienzini, sorry.
Nienzini, okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Doing good, good. Do you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
What was that?
Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
A little bit of both, I guess.
Go ahead.
I'm having a little complications with my significant other regarding child custody and co-parenting.
All right. What's the story there?
Yeah. So the story is I actually had two children abroad. I was born and raised in California. I went to Zimbabwe, Africa, and I met a woman there. We had children. And our firstborn his name is Ruby Heaven in 2019. And then shortly after that, we had my daughter, New Eden. And then we went to we got caught up in the whole COVID system. So in the midst of that, while working on her papers and my children's papers to get visas to come over here, it took a little more time than expected. So just going through all of that and, being new parents and just getting hit with this whirlwind, I think it also affected our relationship and our planning and things like that. So I had a case to deal with in California, and my passport was missing, so I couldn't go without. I couldn't continue living there without having a passport and means to travel in case of emergency. So what I agreed with my partners that I go to California, come back here, handle my situation, and then in that time she'll be handling her visas and the likes of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere along the translation, something happened to where we weren't on the same page anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's been about a year. This was February 13th. I came back February 13th last year. So somewhere along that line, something happened to where we're not in good terms.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to ask her, like, okay, what arrangements do you think are best for us to have both healthy co-parenting relationship? And she hasn't been forthcoming in the answer. So I'm kind of in a situation because I grew up without a father, and it affected me in a lot of ways, from poor judgment that could have just been guided strongly with a father figure. My mom was always at work. So I'm haunted by the fact that I'm leaving I don't want to leave even though we're not in good terms or speaking, she's a great person. I just think she doesn't understand my life, or, just never doing something for the first time is pretty hard, because her situation was also hard. She grew up without parents and things like that. So I just need some guidance, some help, not to get anyone in trouble, but to make sure these kids don't suffer from our misunderstandings and things like that. and get the best out of me and their mother.
All right. Well, is
But now the situation is overseas. What was that?
Is CPS involved in your situation at all?
No, they're not.
Okay. Have you gone to like family court to try to resolve this, or seen a counselor or a marriage counselor or a couples counselor, anything like that?
No, I haven't done any of that. I'm seeking advice on which way to go right now.
Okay. So what I would suggest, and I'm just guessing at your age, you sound like you're a young man. What I would suggest is you go talk to a counselor and have him or her make some, professional recommendations on what you should and shouldn't do, with respect to custody and visitation.
Okay, but the situation is kind of hard, and not because she's not really on cooperating terms with what I'm suggesting. So, in terms of a counselor, when she's not in the country, I don't know how that would help me.
Are the children in the country?
No, they're not, but they're American citizens.
Okay. So one of the things that I still suggest is you talk to an individual counselor, and also perhaps talk to a lawyer about starting some type of legal proceedings to protect your rights with respect to custody and visitation.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you calling. And it's pronounced Nizini? Nianzini. Listen,
it's like almost like it's Chinese.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you listening to the show. Maybe call us back in about 3 or 4 weeks and let us know what's going on with your case, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Georgette?
Yes, I'm here.
Had you talked to this gentleman before?
Yes, we spoke yesterday, as a matter of fact, last night.
Because he was indicating that CPS was not involved in his case.
Yeah, CPS was not involved in his case. However, he was interested in speaking with you about the family's law side of the case.
Okay.
And he wanted to call the radio show.
Okay, very good. You hear any interesting stories this past week regarding CPS and involvement with families?
Yeah, CPS a lot, unfortunately. Actually, a couple of days ago, I received a call from a nurse. So what happened was there was a child born, and there's another nurse that works with her on the same shift. She said, my sister can't have children, and I want that baby for her. So they tried to set the mother up to fail, obviously, and say that there was some kind of drugs in the mother's urine. And she reported her to the supervisor in the hospital. And to get back on her, she contacted CPS against her and her daughter. And it was very unfortunate because CPS took her baby from her under false allegations of abuse and domestic violence.
Has she been
between her and her husband? She hasn't been to court yet. It just happened like a couple of days ago.
Just one child involved, or more than one?
Yes, one child involved. Her daughter is 3.5 years old. And it's actually local in California. I'm not going to say the county because she is thinking about hiring her office to handle the case for her.
I see. Well, I hope that we can help her. That's always tough situations, these situations where people allege that social workers have made false claims, about abuse or domestic violence, that type of thing.
Yes, but the thing about it is, Mr. Davis, is that anybody can call and make allegations of false, just anyone can call, and they just take their word for it. However, in family law court, hearsay doesn't work, but with CPS, hearsay is accepted. That doesn't make sense to me. Without the proper investigations, they just take anybody's word for it.
Well, here's the thing. You bring up a very interesting point about
2 minutes
family law and CPS courts. CPS courts, at least in California, have a special exemption. They are allowed to listen to hearsay, or judges are allowed to listen to hearsay brought by the social workers. Now, the parents have a defense to that. They can, subpoena in that hearsay declarant to come to court to be cross-examined. But, California has made this special exception. And I think if you want hearsay to be excluded from CPS courts, people are going to have to vote or, have laws passed to change that, because unfortunately that is the law in California. In family law courts, hearsay is not accepted and is generally inadmissible. But, family law court and CPS courts are totally different things. They're night and day, right?
Yes.
People always call and think that they're, related. And I guess in some ways, in the end, they can be related, but they're two different courthouses, two different courtrooms, different judges, different locations, different laws, that apply. There are family law rules and laws, and there are CPS laws and rules, and they're just different, fortunately or unfortunately.
Correct. And I recall you had to explain the difference, and I didn't know before that juvenile dependency supersedes any family order from family law courts. Meaning, if they go and take your child and you have a full custody of your child, that doesn't matter. Once CPS takes over, then juvenile is involved, and that supersedes any family law order.
Correct.
So what I tell people is the following: once there's an investigation going,
Oh, I'm sorry for butting in, Georgette, but the engineer is telling me we've got to take another break. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. We'll be right back after these messages.